So, let's talk about artificial intelligence. It's this incredible technology that promises to solve some of our biggest problems, but it could also create a whole bunch of new ones we've never even thought of. It really is a double-edged sword, and today we're going to look at both sides, the risks and the absolutely mind-blowing potential.
We have this tendency to think technology is objective. I mean, it's just code and data, right? It can't be biased like a person can. Well, when it comes to AI, it turns out the answer is way more complicated than that.
A really good way to think about AI bias is to picture an iceberg. The stuff we see all the time, the fake news, the manipulated images, that's just the tip. And yeah, it's a problem for sure. But the real danger? It's that massive, invisible part lurking under the water. That's where all our human and systemic biases get baked right into the algorithms. So let's dive under the surface and see what's really going on. Because this is where that shiny veneer of AI objectivity really starts to fall apart, and we see some pretty serious issues. So what is AI bias exactly? Well, to put it simply, it's when an AI system learns from us and then repeats our worst habits. These systems are trained on just unbelievable amounts of data that humans created, all our books, articles, our entire history. And since our history is, filled with all sorts of biases, that stuff gets woven right into the AI's DMA.
And listen, this isn't just some abstract theory. Take Amazon. They tried to build an AI to handle recruitment, thinking it would get rid of human bias. But they trained it on 10 years of old resumes, from a time when the tech world was almost all men. And the result? The AI basically taught itself to be sexist. It started penalizing resumes that included the word women's, like in Women's Chess Club, and it actually downgraded graduates from all women's colleges. It was such a disaster, Amazon had to scrap the whole project.
Beyond these deep-seated biases, AI can just make things up, with very real consequences. This image right here, it's a completely fake AI-generated picture of an explosion at the Pentagon that went viral. It wasn't real, but it looked convincing enough that it actually caused a temporary dip in the stock market. That's how fast a lie can cause real financial damage.
And the level of deception is getting scarily sophisticated. Get this, a finance worker at a big consulting firm, Arup, was tricked into wiring away over $25 million. And how they do it? The scammer set up a video call. The worker saw their colleagues. They even saw the chief financial officer, all telling them to make the transfer. The only problem? Every single person on that call, besides the worker, was a deep fake, an AI recreation.
So with all this stuff out there, what are we supposed to do? Well, it really comes down to being a more critical thinker. Always check where the information is coming from. Is the source credible? Watch out for sensational headlines that are just trying to make you angry. For photos, a quick reverse image search can tell you a lot. And for videos, pay close attention. Look for weird facial movements or for audio that just doesn't quite match up with their lips.
Okay, so the next big challenge with AI is a little different. It's not about bias or fakes. It's about a total lack of transparency. People in the field call it the black box problem.
The whole idea is actually pretty simple. We can put information into an AI and we get a result out of it. But the part in the middle, how it actually made its decision, that is often a complete mystery. We don't know exactly how it weighed different factors to come to its conclusion. And that makes it really hard to trust the results, especially when the stakes are high.
And the stakes can be incredibly high. Think about it. In banking, a black box AI might deny you a home loan, and you'll never get a straight answer why. In a hospital, an AI might analyze a scan and flag a tumor, but if it can't explain its reasoning, how can a doctor possibly trust it enough to deliver that kind of news to a patient?
And this whole lack of transparency, it leads us right into another giant mess, the huge legal and ethical war happening at the intersection of AI, creativity, and the law.
This quote really hits the nail on the head. Our copyright laws were built for a world where humans made original things, but generative AI just blows that all up. The tech is moving so fast that the courts and the lawyers are just scrambling to keep up, and it's created this massive legal gray area.
A perfect example of this fight is the huge lawsuit the New York Times just filed against OpenAI and Microsoft. The Times is basically saying, hey, you took millions of our copyrighted articles without asking and used them to build your chatbot. The whole case comes down to this idea of fair use. The tech companies are arguing they're just using the data for research, but the Times is firing back saying the AI is now spitting out its articles almost word for word, creating a direct competitor with its own stolen work.
And this really gets to the heart of the difference.
A human artist, they get inspired by different styles, and then they go create something brand new, something original that they legally own. A generative AI, it's trained on mountains of existing stuff, most of it copyrighted. It can then create work that's almost identical to what it was trained on. So who owns the new thing? The AI? The company? The original artist? Right now, nobody really knows. It's a huge problem for creators everywhere.
Okay. We have gone through the biases, the deep fakes, the legal nightmares. But that's only one side of this double-edged sword. Now let's flip it over and look at the other side, the absolutely incredible, world-changing potential of AI, especially when it comes to education.
Just look at this number for a second. It is absolutely staggering. The Gates Foundation reports that 7 out of every 10 kids in low- and middle-income countries can't read a simple text by the time they're 10. That's a massive global crisis. But it's also a massive opportunity for AI tools to come in and help fix it.
But to really get it, let's make it personal. I want you to meet Willow. She was a sophomore, and she had always struggled with math. The ideas just wouldn't stick. Her teacher was overwhelmed with 30 other kids, and a private tutor was totally out of the question.
But then, her school started using a new AI learning platform. And the first thing it did was ask Willow about herself, what she was interested in, how she liked to learn. She told it she loved art, that she was a visual learner, and that she played on the school basketball team. And that is when everything changed for her.
The AI started explaining complex math problems by relating them to the arc of a basketball shot. When the platform could tell she was getting stuck, it would automatically break the problem down into smaller, easier pieces. It even figured out that she learned best in short bursts and suggested a study schedule that worked for her. The AI didn't just teach her math, it completely rebuilt her confidence by creating a learning experience that was designed just for her.
And Willow's story is really just the tip of the iceberg on the good side. The classroom of the future could have AI-powered virtual labs where you can do dangerous chemistry experiments safely, or interactive simulations that let you walk through ancient Rome, or even immersive worlds where you can practice speaking a new language with an AI native speaker. I mean, the possibilities here are truly revolutionary.
So after looking at both the good and the bad, the big takeaway is pretty clear. AI itself isn't good, and it isn't evil. It's just an incredibly powerful tool. And like any tool, whether it's a hammer or a computer, its impact is all about the choices we make, the rules we put in place, and the goals we're trying to achieve. The real question isn't about the AI, it's about us.
Because make no mistake, AI is here, and it's not going anywhere. So the conversation really has to move past if we're going to use it. The much more important question for every single one of us is how are we going to use it?